Hi, this is Randy. I thought I'd go for a bit of a change of pace today, and rather than talk about Sam Vaknin or the anti-narc community, I'm onto this therapy kick now, and I actually found a talk on YouTube and a few different articles that, with some PhDs, some academics, some psychotherapists, teachers, and professors, fairly recent, 2012. These people are trying to find a way to treat narcissists and understand narcissists, and you will see that their language is a little different, but it all means kind of the same thing in the way that they understand narcissists. They do use the object relations theory. So Frank Yeomans, Y-E-O-M-A-N-S, M.D., Ph.D., he did a YouTube talk, and it's over an hour long, and it's about Transference-Focused Psychotherapy. So it looks like the field is definitely starting to focus more on narcissists finally, and I'm sure they don't want to give up and say that these people are not treatable, as Sam and most of us know. And believe me, after you hear this, virtually they are untreatable, but because they present such a challenge, such an unbelievable challenge, it is like such an uphill battle to work with them. Just listening to this talk just made me so damn frustrated, thinking about how horrible it would be to be the therapist of a narcissist. So, therapy with a narc, and kind of how things play out. First of all, and this might be spotty, I just took notes as I listened to this hour long talk. So some of this might not make too much sense, but based on my notes, Dr. Yeomans was explaining narcissism as related to object relations theory, and basically, in a nutshell, that would mean that the narcissist splits off themselves and others into categories of being all good or all bad, and that they respond to simple triggers. Simple triggers will cause a flood of emotions and puts a halt to any reasoning that they have, and we will see that in our interactions with them. There's a grandiose self, and it's relative to a devalued other. So that view of the world, or this internal kind of a battle or conflict that you see manifest, is the way that the narcissist maintains the grandiose self. In order to maintain that grandiosity, which is out of reality, they have to devalue the other. So everything is relation to self and other. They're the best, you're the worst. They're grandiose, you're devalued. You have to be devalued in order for them to be grandiose. It can't work any other way. So Dr. Yeomans gave an example of just beginning with a female narcissist, and I'm sure she was overt, because somehow he picked up on a diagnosis just during the first session and his assessment session. I don't know what his assessment involved, but she was a young female patient, very rich, and her parents brought her in. She was an adult and she was dependent on her parents for money. And her depression was supposedly caused by the fact that her parents wouldn't put her up in a super expensive New York apartment. And so that was her presenting problem, depression, and that was the reason. But the Dr. Yemens decided that her real problem was that she had narcissistic personality disorder. And when he told her and her parents that that's what she had, that was his diagnosis, the woman later called him up to change an appointment or something, and she said to him, "By the way, thanks a lot. Thanks for telling my parents that I have narcissistic personality disorder." And the doctor said, "Well, what do you mean I tell my patients what their diagnosis is?" And she said, "Now my parents just think I'm just a nasty bitch." So it's like, it was funny, she didn't have any more excuses. Depression sounded a lot nicer than narcissistic personality. She told the doctor that. The doctor was trying to have a neutral approach. This kind of neutral approach by the therapist is something that he stressed throughout his talk, that needed to be maintained, and so he didn't quite know how to respond. So the way he responded to the woman on the phone was when she said, "Now they think I'm just a nasty bitch." He thought about it for a minute and he responded, "Well, you're not just a nasty bitch." In other words, yes, you're a nasty bitch, but there's more to you than that. And so the woman did continue to see him. Now, for the first several weeks, she held him in complete and total devaluation. Therapy was stupid. It didn't offer her anything. And this would go on for weeks and weeks. And of course, complete resistance, just wanting to talk about how the therapist didn't know anything. He's not doing anything for her. He doesn't know shit. And stuff like that. And of course, her parents are paying for it. So she doesn't care. And this goes on for weeks. He said that, then he explained more about the grandiose self. The grandiose self is an unrealistic attempt to create a coherent self that splits off many other parts of the self. So grandiosity seemed like it was the kingpin to narcissism and the kind of gatekeeper to holding that personality together, although it was a false personality, because like the borderline personality, the personality is not integrated. However, with borderlines, the disintegrated personality is much more clearly seen. With the narcissist, they use that grandiose part of the personality, and they present it as its one coherent self, but really it's a cover for all the other split off parts. This is going to go into more than one video, I can see right now, so this will be part one. So borderlines don't have that false illusion of a coherent self. Basically, they look pretty incoherent, is what he was saying. So he was kind of talking about borderlines, narcissists, and antisocials in a continuum. Whereas borderlines, of course, we know therapists do not want to work with borderlines either. They're very scary and they're very annoying to work with, but borderline personality disorder is seen by this profession anyway, this group, as being less sick, a little bit less sick than the narcissist. And then the antisocial personality is sicker than the narcissist. So the narcissist would be in the middle there on that continuum. So he said as the narcissist progresses in therapy, over time they'll begin to look more like a borderline personality disorder because they will become less integrated. Their different parts will start to show because the grandiose, coherent mask breaks down. And that would be the beginning goal during therapy, to get that to kind of break down. But it's got to be done very carefully. It's like performing very serious, intricate surgery in order to get just little bits of progress from these narcissists in therapy, if you ever if you could ever get them to go. And, probably only overt ones where their rich parents were paying for it would ever show up there anyway. But the doctor said that there's a need to open the narcissist up and find out what the grandiose false self is protecting. And that's a key for all of us to think about. When we see that hard shell, that grandiose false self, it's like, what the hell is that protecting? What is underneath there? I wonder. So that's what the therapist is actually trying to get to, if you could ever get them to keep coming and being honest, which is completely another story. But let me continue. So the narcissist is stuck in a very negative dyad in relationship to others, or the other. I mean, the other might be other parts of himself, and the other is other people as well. He's stuck in a negative relationship with the other parts of himself and with others outside of himself. And we definitely see that. In order to maintain the grandiosity, the other must be devalued. So he devalues everybody outside of himself to maintain that grandiosity. And then he denies that the other parts underneath his grandiosity even exist, because if he knew they existed, I guess he'd have to reconcile them. He may have to devalue them, and that would blow the whole grandiose cover. So I don't think he can even admit that they exist. Then the doctor was talking about if there are no libidinal stirrings or strivings, and I don't really know what he meant. I kept listening to it and I didn't look it up, what he meant by libidinal strivings. But anyway, if there are no libidinal strivings, then you have a pure antisocial personality. And he said, we, which he means the field, do not know how to treat. He totally admitted no one knows how to treat an antisocial personality, and I assume that's why they're in jail and they wreak havoc on society. No one knows how to treat them. So the more antisocial your narcissist is, the more covert, the more antisocial, and the more grandiose, the harder they would be to treat. And I would assume that the more dangerous they are as well. I'm going to end this video and pick up another video because I have a few more pages to talk about. Thanks for listening.